I'm just like asking God, is this the end of the line? I'm just going to die in prison. I was arrested in January 1992, so I've been in prison ever since then. It's hard to describe what it's like to be arrested for someone you loved.
On December 29th, 1991, Bobby Janoe and his wife Joy had an argument, and she stormed out of the house. The next morning, Bobby became worried when she'd not come home, started calling her family and hospitals, and then filed a missing persons report. Sadly, that morning her body was discovered in an alley in an industrial area in Westminster, California. Police arrived on the scene and began an investigation. They then go to Bobby's house, and he agreed to let 2 officers search the home. This initial search turned up nothing. They checked the mattress, inspected the bedroom, found nothing. A few days later, on January 2nd, they came back and started to find things like small bloodstains on the wall and bed.
The whole thing to me, as far as police work, it's very sloppy, very unprofessional, and
it almost doesn't look real to us.
There's a couple of instances in here where the detective even interjected his own opinions, which should never, you never do that. You got to keep them out of the report. He describes the injuries to Joy Janoe, and he says her mouth and face had also received heavy damage, including teeth being broken. That type of beating that it sounds like she took, there should have been a lot of blood in that apartment, more than just was on the wallpaper.
The police interrogate Bobby, and he continually denied any involvement in her death. Mike Proctor, the lead detective, became hostile and even lied to Bobby to try to get him to confess. Proctor said they measured the tire impressions on his car and it matched the tire marks at the scene, which was false. Still, Bobby is arrested and put on trial. The main evidence they had against him were some small bloodstains in the bedroom. In the early 90s, DNA testing was not the same as it is today. They could only do blood typing. Some of the blood matched the same type as Bobby's, and some matched the same type as Joy's, but her type was consistent with 10% of the population. They'd only lived in the house for less than a year. The small bloodstains could have come from any one of the many people who might have been in the house before them. The first trial ended with a hung jury where they could not agree on a verdict. They try Bobby again, and the only difference at the second trial is the prosecutor, Louis Rosenblum, brought Bobby's ex-wife, Patricia Schoenthal, as a character witness in an attempt to prove he was violent. When Detective Proctor interviewed Patricia, she stated Bobby had never hit her. During her testimony, she stated she was pregnant and Bobby kicked her in the stomach, causing her to lose the child, even though the hospital reported no physical injuries. Actually, 18 days prior, she made an appointment and had an elective abortion. The reason given? Don't want another baby right now. Rosenblum admitted in a sworn affidavit that he subpoenaed the medical records and opened them in court with Bobby's defense counsel, Doug Otto. However, Otto testified under oath that he had never seen the medical records. This could constitute a Brady violation, which in other cases has led to retrials or overturning of convictions. Unfortunately, at the time, Patricia's misleading testimony was enough to convince the jury, and Bobby was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
In this case, it just reeks of prosecutorial misconduct. He puts on perjured testimony, doesn't turn over medical records that are potentially Brady material that would show that the witness is not testifying truthfully and that Bobby was not an abusive spouse.
I mean, the second trial was filled with such brutality, the perjured testimony of Patricia. I lost all my trust in the court system, the police department, and the district attorney's office.
This prosecutor boasted of his 57-0 record. But a prosecutor's job is to seek justice and find the truth. It's not about wins.
No one wants to go against the prosecutor. He will do anything to win.
The police failed to thoroughly investigate the alternative suspects, the first being Paul Cook, who was Joy's ex-husband who had a history of violence. The second being Robert Winchester, who shared a child with Joy. He was sleeping in his car in the same alleyway where Joy's body was recovered. He lied to the police about where he was sleeping that evening, and 2 wrenches were recovered from his vehicle that matched the potential murder weapon. The police had tunnel vision. They believed Bobby was the perpetrator, and they did little to investigate this case and to investigate alternative suspects. In a criminal trial, the burden of proof is on the prosecutor to prove the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And while the jury did find guilt, they didn't have all the information and evidence to make a proper decision.
Because he's one of the finest men I've ever met. He's just terrific with what he does. He's unselfish, helps people, and he can live through this injustice and make the most of it, though he still wants justice to take place. He's not asking to be released. He's asking for a fair trial. But he's become this shining light where he is, this wonderful person, so full of love for the world, no matter who it is, even Louis Rosenblum.
But I have been able to finally accept what has been going on, and that Joy is dead, and that I may never know what happened. That's basically that I was just grateful for the time that I had with her.